What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. I am Love Coach Scott Katamas. Welcome to the Awakening World, our Wednesday night edition. And about once every couple of months, we have a special edition of the show, which we call Authors That We Love. And we've got three wonderful authors and a great co-host, and Omar Shar with us tonight. So I'm going to briefly introduce people, and then we'll do a larger introduction afterwards. But my good friend Larry Michael is with us, and Larry is a brilliant relationship guy. He and I have been geeking out about relationship stuff over the years, and he's got a wonderful new book called Lasting. And we've got as our co-host Ariel Patricia, and she is the person who really helps to get a lot of wonderful books out through Sacred Stories. And welcome, Ariel. And I'd love for you to briefly introduce Lisa and Anna Maria.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. So excited to be here. And hi, Larry. Tonight I brought two of the authors from our Common Sentience book series, Lisa Barnett, who is the founder of the Akashic Knowing School of Wisdom. And Lisa specializes in teaching you to access your personal soul wisdom and guidance to transform your life, working directly with your soul's plan and the support of the Akashic Record Keepers. Lisa is a dear friend, a dear colleague, and she's also the author of two of our books. One is Your Soul Has a Plan, and one we're going to talk about tonight, Akasha, Spiritual Experiences of Accessing the Infinite Intelligence of Our Souls. So welcome, Lisa. And the next author is Ana Maria Vasquez. And again, these books are in the Common Sentience book series. It's a mystical book series that Sacred Stories has been producing for, we're going into, I think, our third year. I'll have to do my math. We have 16 books in the series, and Ana Maria Vasquez, who is a multisensory animal and nature intuitive. She is on the faculty at the Academy for the Soul and the author of the best-selling book, Nature, Divine Experiences with Trees, Plants, Stones, and Landscapes. And Ana Maria is also a dear friend and dear colleague, and who, with crazy enough, we've never met in person yet, only in these crazy little boxes of Zoom screens, but we're going to meet in person soon. So anyway, welcome Ana Maria and Lisa. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Well, looking forward to learning about your books. And we always start our shows with music, and we're very blessed to have the most wonderful house musical artist possibly on the planet, our beloved Omar Shar. And take it away, beloved brother.
Thank you so much. That was yes, possibly on the planet. Luckily, there's only one of us here, so that's many of us and many guises. And so beautiful YouTube and Facebook warriors, thank you for watching, and all of our streaming partners. And this song, which is called Completely Free, is more contemplative than rousing. And so let's get into some contemplation here. You could waltz to it, I guess, something like that. So, 1, 2. I have been waiting for so long, and yes, I have faltered. Flickering faith I've had in you. Whoa, but now that I see the greater plan, I know you've been watching, silently present, cheering me on. Through my pain I've grown so strong, and though my heart's been broken and friendships they have crumbled, I do it all again. And yes, I did it all for you. I knew that you'd come through. I open the door inside my heart. There is a radiant presence telling me this is where I start. Whoa, shining light, please lead me home. For I know you never left me, and that I have never walked alone. And now I am ready for your essence to be fully merged with my life, and I'm ready for the changes that are required of me to be completely free. With your light I can see. La 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 la.
Let's all give a twinkle to our beloved Omar Shar.
Well, it had a surprise ending anyway. It just ended. What?
Hey, everybody, a reminder that we can best support Omar Shar. We can bring him home with us by going to Bandcamp. And if you go to omarshar.bandcamp.com, that's where his 5 children reside. Two more are on the way. He's a prolific papa of beautiful music, and let's support him and support yourself because listening to Omar Shore music raises our vibration. And during these challenging times, the Awakening World is all about raising the vibration. And honestly, it's Omar Shore does that with every song. Every song lifts us and inspires us. So thank you so much, Omar Shore, for
Thank you.
your presence in our awakening world.
Thank you, brother.
All right, so I'm going to bring my co-host back up. And before we get into some of your authors, Ariel, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about how Sacred Stories started. What's a little bit about your history? You're so good at putting the spotlight on your authors. We're going to put the spotlight on you for a minute. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Scott, for asking. Well, my sacred story or my spiritual journey started about 13 years ago. And, it was probably a very common experience now, somewhat traumatic life experience that kind of shakes you up and turns you around and lands you on your head and saying, what the heck just happened, right? And so then you start seeking, became a seeker looking for answers. And when I started looking, the spiritual path opened and a lot of spiritual experiences happened. And as more spiritual experiences started happening, the more that I wanted to seek, the more that I wanted to learn. And I started meeting a lot of different people on the path. And as part of my learning, I wanted to learn about others. And what I realized is that we all have a story to tell, or we're all having these experiences, or we have the potential to have these experiences, this expansion of consciousness, this expanded awareness, this opening to our innate essence. And as the divine would have it, when you listen, you get your nudges in certain directions. But my direction was always to not only help share initially my story, but to help others share their stories. But not just the stories. It's really the wisdom. It's really the understanding of the different mystical phenomenons or the different paths, up the mountain. And so my path has been or has become. I call myself a sacred storyteller, and Sacred Stories Publishing has been born about 8 years ago. To help bring forward, wisdom and the experiences, spiritual wisdom and experiences together to help others on their path, to open their eyes to what the potential is, or just to help them not feel that they're in this alone, that they're the only person that these things are happening to, to try to build a community around that, similar to the Global Peace Tribe community, the same idea.
Beautiful, beautiful. Tell us one story. When we put creative expressions out there, shows out there, books out there, you never know who you're going to reach. But every now and then, life blesses us with a moment where you meet someone and they let you know how something you did changed their life. Do you have a story like that?
I do. And most of the time it centers around, maybe different authors that I've worked with, people that have that are on a similar path, and they're brilliant beings, brilliant souls, and they have wisdom to share, but they maybe don't haven't had an outlet yet. And so one of the things that I enjoy doing, or I think is one of my skills that lends itself to publishing, is I believe that I'm pretty good at reading somebody's work or reading somebody's manuscript and really seeing maybe the potential that's also there, maybe that they haven't fully, blossomed yet. And so I have one author, I'll give her a shout out. Her name is Shauna Zalazzo, and she came to me a few years ago with this beautiful book, and it was her story, her spiritual story. And it had to do with the goddess Inanna. But I saw so much more in the book than maybe where Shauna had originally brought it. And so we worked together, and she is to help bring the fullness of her wisdom and her story out, and Anana's wisdom and the message Anana has for us today. And since then, she's published this amazing book. I mean, she did the work. She's brilliant. It's called The Way of Anana. But I think that it's really helped Shauna really step into her own power in a way that maybe she wasn't fully embodying before that. I think it's helped give her more self-confidence, and really help people. And so Shauna is an example because she's told me on more than one occasion how it transformative it was for her, for me not only to see her work, but to see her and to believe in her and to help her bring that forward. So and I think at the end of the day, right? I mean, that's about as good as it can get, for me, to be able to do that for someone else. So that's probably the first story that comes to mind.
Yeah, we hadn't prepared, and so that was a spontaneous question that came to my mind. So thank you for responding,
Yeah.
and thank you for the work that you do, because every Friday I get a wonderful email from you, sharing something wonderful about one of your authors, and you're like a den mother for conscious authors. So on behalf of all of them, I'm sure they all appreciate you very much, and I certainly do. And with that, I'm ready to meet one of your authors right now. Who would you like to bring up first?
Well, I'm going to go alphabetically because, as any good mother, we can't choose between our kids. So I'm going to go alphabetically by first name. So I'm going to bring up Anna Maria, who is the author of this book, Nature. And Anna Maria, please unmute yourself because I'm going to tell them a little bit about you first, though. So Anna Maria is another person that she had me at the trees. So I don't know how many years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, right? I remember seeing something about trees as messengers. I remember somebody posting, another colleague, something about Anna Maria. And I have such an amazing relationship with trees, and that was part of my opening to spirituality as well, that I said, I have to meet this person. I need to meet Anna Maria. I need to know more about what she does. So I kind of sought her out, and I've just been a total fan from the day we met. And the reason I have to say this about you, Anna Maria, and I want everyone to know, is because Anna Maria is just nothing but one big giant heart and soul. And she lives and feels the love that she shares with others all the time. And her relationship with nature and her relationship with the animals is so genuine and so deep and so powerful that, but you could probably feel it through the Zoom screen. So when Common Sentience, this idea for this mystical book series came about, or I was guided to do this, I knew we needed a book on nature, one of the very first books, and I knew that the person that I wanted to go to and ask to write this book for the series was Ana Maria Vasquez. So and I'm just so grateful because it's just a phenomenal book, and it is just filled with just so much love and so much respect and gratitude for the natural world. I'm going to say one more thing about Anna Maria, and then I'm going to let you talk. When I first asked Anna Maria to write this book, and this I think speaks to really the depth of her character and how really tuned in she is. She said, well, I have to go ask the trees what they want me to say, or I need to speak to the stones. Like she said, I need to go into the listening and see. So it wasn't from this ego perspective, like, oh, great, let me tell everybody what I know about nature and the natural world and our relationship. She completely approached the entire book from the perspective of what does nature want me to say on their behalf. And gosh, I feel like I could cry with that. It's just so deep and beautiful. And so, Anna Maria, I don't know if I've ever said that before to you. But, you had me at the trees and then you totally hooked me with the book when you said, well, I need to see what nature wants to say. So this book and all of Anna Maria's work and what she'll share tonight is really, and I think you'll agree, Anna Maria, really as a spokesperson for the natural world.
Yeah, they like me because I have thumbs and I can type. And so I am not confused at all. I am a spokesperson. I am pretty much a personal assistant, right, for the natural world. And so it was that piece where I have so much honor and respect for our connection that I just wanted to make sure that I got out of the way, right? Because I've got a human side and she thinks she knows a lot of stuff. And so I wanted to make sure to move out of the way to get that. I'm so moved. I'm feeling very like how my cat must feel, right? Like feeling all that love, basking in the sun.
It's true. It's true. And I think that, and maybe all the love is coming out because we're with, Scott and his awakening world. And, there's just such a beautiful community here. And you could feel it even in the opening, watching everybody dance and just kind of just be in their heart and be so happy to be here and be together. So Anna Maria, let's talk a little bit about the natural world. Your book talks about, trees, plants, stones, and landscapes. And I have to say, I have to show it because I need to give the stones a shout out because I picked this cover and there's stone beings on the cover. And that's very intentional because normally if you think about a book about nature, you probably imagine to see a beautiful tree or beautiful flower or a spiral or something like that. And we considered all that. But I said, the stone beings are almost like the forgotten cousins or something, and they're so powerful and they're so important. So maybe let's talk about them tonight. Let's talk about the stones a little bit. So if you could share, because we want to share wisdom, we want to share some information, but what do you in your book or in your work, share who the stone beings are. I think we have just a couple of minutes, but and maybe a way that people can open to them, or maybe a message they may have, that they want us to know.
Oh my goodness. It is this piece where when we as humans remember that, again, this common sentience, that there is this life force energy flowing through everything. It's so easy for us to be like, oh, of course, with an animal or even with a tree. But when we get to the rocks, this is where I feel like our nature loving community really comes out, really shines. I feel like I'm talking to the people who have pockets full of rocks, right? All of their windowsills have rocks in them. Outside, there's rocks. And they are just amazing beings of frequency and harmonics. And they help, oh gosh, on so many levels, they help remind us about the importance of frequency, of vibration, of harmonics. And they help deliver packets of information, of wisdom to us through that electromagnetic process that they're doing. It's almost like respiration, breathing, putting it out there, pulling in and so when we get in the field with a rock, with a stone being, I deal more with rocks, like the minerals, not so much the crystals. We have brilliant people who work on all of that. And so I have stayed focused on the stone beings themselves. But when we work with them, whether it is one touchstone that we're working with or sitting on, or whether we've created a circle of stones that are creating a vortex of energy, we have the opportunity to amplify our intentions. First of all, reconnect with our true self and our truth, but then to amplify our intentions in whatever way that we're doing that. And so that ability, right, to have practical ways to apply these spiritual principles, we're able to do that through working with nature, especially the stone beings. It's such an honor.
One of the things that I learned from your book was that because for me, I look at the stones, as the large rock faces or the larger beings or the standing stones. That's who I connect with, typically. But in your book, you bring out how different types of stones, maybe a limestone versus a granite, have different frequencies or different energies and different types of vibrations that we can connect with. So speak about that just for a moment, please.
Yeah, that was phenomenal when I started connecting with the stone beings and asking them questions and, share yourselves, reveal yourselves. One of the first things that they shared was even their masculine and feminine energies, which again, right, when we look at a plant or an animal, we can understand like a masculine or feminine. We think about the biology aspect, but they are talking about a more pure essence of a feminine energy or a masculine energy. And so when you connect with a stone, right, one of the things I would suggest is feel in to understand what are you getting a sense of. The stone beings are working with us with our extrasensory perceptions. So you may see a word, you may feel a word, you may just have a knowingness drop in. But we can also, right, our lower minds love something to munch on. So we can look, right, if it's a limestone and it was built through, it came together in a process of, the layering. We know that's more of a feminine quality versus, right, a volcanic stone, igneous, that has really been forged by fire and a more masculine energy. So we have ways that even if we don't know or we're not really talking to the rocks or they're not talking back to us yet, we can start to track the energy and feel into that. And just that revelation that there was masculine and feminine energy in the stone beings, that absolutely, I blew a gasket. I was like, are you kidding me? This is huge. This is so fun. And then it allows us to go into our practices or our connection with them with even deeper intent.
Yeah, everybody thinks that the stones or the rocks are inert materials and that they don't have a life force or that they're not sentient beings. And that is just so incredibly wrong and short-sighted. And that's why we wanted to give them a shout out on the cover. And also in the book, and I just want to say in the back of the book, there is an appendix, and Anna Maria talks about rocks, the different rocks or stone symbolism, and she breaks them all out by different types of rocks or types of stones. So we did see Susan saying, and granite with a question. Granite is in the back of the book. I just looked it up. Do you want to speak to the symbolism or granite at all, Anna Maria? Or I could share what we have directly from your book.
Go right ahead. Yeah, that came straight from granite. I trust their interpretation more than my memory.
Yeah, well, so granite relates to the root and sacral chakras. It's protection and strength, which you would imagine because it is so hard, right? It's such a solid stone. Relationship balancing, and that it strengthens hair, muscles, and bones, which again, it's similar to animal symbolism, right? When you look at the characteristics, it makes sense. And then you have this note for granite, which is interesting. Susan, maybe note is for you because it's the only one I see with a note on it. It says red granite is high in quartz, silica, and iron, mirroring the human body's bones and blood, used frequently in ancient sites, temples, and churches. So, thanks for the shout out about Freddie. Freddie's actually one of our authors in this sentient series as well. His book is called Portals. So Freddie has written a book on portals for the Common Sentient series. So Freddie's another dear friend and colleague. So Anna Maria, well, not final words, but final for the moment. Anything you'd like to just wrap up with?
Well, that piece too, when we come in to like red granite, we talked about how it mirrors our body. There's a resonance that's present there, and it helps us remember who we be, which is why it was used by the ancients in the temples in all of the different ways. But we can connect even without going to a sacred place. We can create our own sacred place space with the stone beings, calling on those energies. All of it is about remembering, right? Whether we're dealing with the trees, the rocks, the fairies, the elementals, the directions, it's all about helping us find a way to remember the truth of who we be and our interconnectedness.
I love that. Thank you. And thank you for being the author of the nature book in our series.
And we're going to take questions and answers afterwards. We're going to meet each of our authors for a little bit. And then, so if you've got other questions, and Anna Maria, I encourage you to connect with Susan because she has a whole amazing project called Sunny Thermal, which Omashar is going to be involved in. And so your connection to rocks and Susan, it's a little, I love to match make people. So there's a little match there for you in the chat box. And Ariel, please go ahead and introduce Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I introduce Lisa, I just want to say that another thing that Anna Maria talks about in the nature book is the thermal hot springs or the hot springs and actually she has a whole process in there involving hot springs. And I know that that's a place that Anna Maria frequents and you know, with the minerals from the water and the stones. So yeah, I think there's a lot of connections happening. So yes, let's bring on Lisa Barnett, our Akasha author. Lisa is an Akashic Records reader. She has a direct line to the Akashic Masters. And I want to tell you something about Lisa, a little story about Lisa, because I met Lisa also, I think even more years ago. I think we're going to start dating ourselves, but maybe 10, 11 years or so ago. So when I was first starting out on my spiritual journey, you know, again, the animals and the angels and nature were just like second nature and a lot of things were happening. But then I started hearing this thing about the Akashic Records and I'm like, what the heck is the Akashic Records? But that sounds kind of cool, right? Like, what is this library in the, you know, in the galaxy we're supposed to have? So I interviewed Lisa on my telesummit way back in the very beginning, and I really liked her. So I went to Lisa for an Akashic Records reading. And at the beginning of my journey, I was doing not a lot of readings with people, but I was getting a few readings. I was really trying to just understand what the heck had been happening in my life and these experiences I was having. So Lisa, when she does a reading, at least way back then, she said, well, what do you want to know? Your records are vast, your records. So what do you want to know? And then I go, I'll read it and I'll tell you. And I wasn't prepared to ask questions. I just wanted to sit there and have a bunch of stuff told to me. So I asked a few basic questions and the reading was going okay. But then Lisa said, well, wait, there's something that you need to know. And she gave me a very specific date in like the 1400s and this very specific life that I was supposed to remember. She said, the masters want you to know this. This is very specific. And the specificity was kind of crazy, but the craziest part was it was the exact same information that somebody had given me maybe a month prior, completely unsolicited, again, about this very specific life and this role that I had in this life that you just couldn't make up. And that's how I knew, which was funny, that Lisa was completely the real deal because I never brought any of this up. I never spoke to anybody about it, but she's like, oh, by the way, they want you to know this. And I think they wanted you to tell me that for many reasons, but I think for one of them was so that I could really see and understand and trust the authenticity of what was happening and that the Akashic Records and that these beings that have information or that we can communicate with are really real and that they're here for us and, you know, they want the best for us, right? Does that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know me. I always have a lot to say about the Akashic Records and all of this energy. You know, for me, if you remember, they tapped on my shoulder a lot of years ago. Again, like really talk about dating yourself, right? You know, 25 years ago, they were like, hey, help us re-anchor this energy because we pulled it away from the planet during the dark ages. And I thought, sure, okay, who am I to say no? Why? You know, and so that really started the process for me, actually having these long conversations with these beautiful beings of light that we refer to as the Akashic Record Keepers. And so I would say I'm very blessed to have a very clear and strong kind of part of my, one of my purposes. Again, they always say most of us have at least 4 to 6 purposes. Otherwise, we would be bored silly. And so, one of my purposes is as an author. So Akasha is now my 4th book. So I'm grateful, Ariel, for having you ask me to write this and be part of this series. But this information, the Akashic record, is energetically in the quantum field absolutely the memory, the aspect of source that retains everything. And so I always say that each person has their own library, because it's an easy way to think about it, that you have a library with librarians who are in service just to you, helping you understand who you've been through this multiverse, through our hundreds and hundreds of lives here on Earth. And really to access this information, because like they've always said, it's your birthright to have access into your soul's plan, into why you're here in so, many different ways, with soul contracts that we wrote with other people, with gifts and talents we want to share with humanity. With all of these aspects of our soul plan and purpose. And so it was really fun to dive into that in Akasha, right? In this book, to get really specific. And then what I really loved is that there's 20 stories that other people wrote about their experience of accessing the Akashic records, how it transformed their lives. And definitely some of them are my students, but many of them were not. Many of them learned to access the records in other ways, through meditations or other kind of tools. And of course, some of us, like myself, just have that connection, that kind of vibration that syncs and moves us into this Akashic field. And so very fun and exciting to see all the kind of natural Akashic readers who could download information from their own Akashic records and then write beautiful stories for us.
Well, and you really touched on a really key part that I think is it's foundational to why we have the Common Sentience book series, but also the idea of why stories are so important, because the wisdom of what is this phenomenon and how do you access it, or why is there an Akashic library, or why do we even have access to this information? That's all very important. But when you can see that it's, many, many, many people are having this opening to this greater consciousness, or this, connection with the Akashic masters, or connection with the stone beings, or with the animals, or, variety of different ways. I think it allows us to realize that not only is this real, but that it's accessible to all of us, and that all of us, as you mentioned the word birthright, that we may not all talk to the Akashic masters, but maybe we'll talk to the trees, or maybe we'll have an aptitude, or, be able to go on a shamanic journey, or in Freddie's book, connect with the energies of the land. And, so we'll find our path, or our paths, and knowing that it's not the one special person that can do this, but that it's all of us. I think that's when the game starts to change. That's what really becomes transformative, in our lives, and ripples out to the world. So I appreciate that you, as a master teacher, not only can recognize that, but gets excited about that, because you see the potential for the expansion of our collective consciousness through this information.
Right. Well, and that's why I'm so excited literally about the whole series, all 15 books, because, you know, it's like our new spiritual encyclopedia, so that as you know, thousands, hopefully millions, billions of people are waking up on the planet, they can read all of these books and learn and get, you know, a taste of what like the Akasha is, and stories that other people you know, have had from their experience. And then actually in the book, I start teaching my 5-step wisdom prayer system that the Akashic record keepers gave me to share with humanity. And so it's such an amazing series for everyone, you know, whether you've been on a spiritual path for, you know, all of your life, or you're just waking up. It really can help to learn different aspects, right? Like we're talking about portals and angels and shamanism and nature and the Akash and all of these God talk with Neil Donald Walsh. And so it really is time for us to all dive deeply into spirituality and all of the different modalities that are out there. So we may find a new favorite one. You never know.
I'm finding new favorite ones all the time. There was a question that popped on the screen regarding the Akashic records or the Akasha. So just to go back to the explanation, someone asked, is this like just this infinite energy field? Would you explain the Akashic records or the Akashic energy field as that quantum field?
Yes, I really would. And it's very interesting because, you know, as over the years, going from kind of accessing into the Akash and having conversations with these beautiful beings of light, to literally being able to move into the quantum void, into this source energy, which is phenomenal transformational space, because of course there is no time or space. We can heal past lives. We can actually heal future challenges that we may have put out there into the future. Of course, anything in this life, whether it was, you know, yesterday or 50 years ago, it doesn't matter in this quantum field of the void. There's also the infinite possibilities, so we can start to pull this in. But what I believe that the quantum scientists are really trying to prove, and I don't know how easy these things will ever be to prove, but that just like they're starting to prove that, you know, there's no place in your physical brain, right? All that gray matter, there's no storage unit in there. All of our memories, even in our life, in our brain, are stored in this quantum field. Or, you know, I always say, we can look at the Akasha like a library, but it's probably more accurate to look at it like the cloud, right? To say, oh, all of your memories are stored in one little section. I like to keep it tidy. Probably not really, not true, but you have that library, you have those beings that are holding this information and this wisdom for you, really, of not only your earthly lives, but many of your other lives in other planets, planes, and dimensions. And so everything is recorded in this quantum field of the all.
Yeah. And I'll just say as we wrap up and I turn it back to Scott, for people to stay tuned, because you're doing a lot of work with the galactic records as well. So you know, when we speak about the Akashic records, you know, you can get information about, you know, kind of off-planet lives or different, you know, planets or stars that we may have been on before. But the galactic level of the Akashic records is a level out from what most people access with the regular Akashic records, if we could call them that. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, absolutely. So we could, yes, call it that galactic aspect, that multidimensional aspect of who we all are as truly infinite souls. So yes.
Well, I've got to ask a question. On the multidimensional part of things, there's a pretty popular school of thought within our soul group that we are leading many alternate realities. That, the part of you that had the child and the part of you that had the career or whatever it might have been. So, can we access the Akashic records about our alternate reality selves?
Oh, interesting.
That's a great question,
You know,
Scott.
it really, yeah, it really is. And all I can do is speak from my experience of, 30 years of accessing the Akash. Sometimes that will pop in, but usually it's actually more the fact that you are having another simultaneous life here on the planet at the same time. So it's a little different than those different choices, which will go off, into infinity of making a different choice every moment. And so I don't find that those get written like into the Akashic field, but sometimes that other aspect of our soul who may be embodied here, so we sometimes will bump into those and think that is that me doing something different? It's actually an aspect of your soul living a different life in a different body in a different part of the planet, actually at the same moment. But what they're saying is that those kind of big tree branches of every decision we didn't make or we did, don't actually get written. They are not solidified in the Akasha.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, that's well, we're going to get more of Lisa and Ariel and Anna Maria. But it's time. We're at about the halfway point of the show, which means it's Omashar time. But just before we go to Omashar, I do want to let people know where you can start getting all of these wonderful books. Let's start by going to sacredstories.com, where Ariel is offering a free book. Just put in your email address, and you can then choose one of her ebook or memoirs. So that's a good place to start. And also, obviously, we want to make sure she has the email. And look at these wonderful options. God is in Little Things, Final Redemption, Granite and Gravity. Hey, we were just talking about Granite. So pick your book, and that's a good place to start. And then after you've picked your book, we want to go to the Sentient Stories. And I'm going to pull that up in a second. Is there a particular thing that you'd like me to make sure our audience knows or understands about your website, Ariel?
Yeah, I mean, I would love, to show the Common Sentient series just for a moment, if that's possible, because that really is, I think, the foundational to the work that Sacred Stories is doing, or the reason Sacred Stories exists, I think, is more about bringing this book series into form. And there's 16 current books. These are some of them. Akasha is part of that. And Portals was mentioned about Freddie Silva. Our newest one is Mediumship by Suzanne Giesemann. We have a number: Ascension by William Henry, Shamanism, Angels, Nature, Meditation, Ancestors by Mendahi Bastida, Goddess by Anadea Judith. I know she's been on your show.
Yeah, she's on the show. Actually, JJ and Desiree are frequent guests. Anadea, absolutely. Neil, been on the show. And of course, Lisa is with us right now. So these are a lot of our friends. We'll have to get Freddie Silva next time. He's the only one there that hasn't been on the show.
Yeah, I should have. Well, Freddie, I didn't invite him tonight. He's going to be at our Atlanta conference. We have a conference coming up in San Rafael with 6 of the Common Sentience authors. Freddie will be at the Atlanta one, so maybe we'll come back on later in the spring and bring Freddie and Simran and Oscar. They'll all be in Atlanta. And we hope, I've been working to add a few more authors. So I'm hoping after the first of the year, we'll be making an announcement, a call for stories for more titles to add to the series. So I can't tell you what they are yet. It's going to be a revealed after the first of the year, but we're looking at maybe 3 or 4 more titles, which will be exciting. So
Well, and so many wonderful people, Sister Jenna, Sister Jenna, and just really, you are the den mother of the amazing authors. Thank you so much for doing that. And we'll be back with Ariel and Lisa and Anna Maria a little bit later, but we are going to go to Omashar for our mid-show song, and then we're going to meet Larry. Hey, brother.
Hey, I'm already feeling so connected to our authors tonight. My goodness. It's funny how each of us holds a perspective for each other, and something can become suddenly clear when someone else mentions it. And going back to Anna Maria, I have my favorite rock is this rock here. And a couple of years ago, I and about 100 other people took 24 Toyota Highlanders from Kathmandu to Tibet. And on the way, we stopped off at about, 12,500 feet. And this rock just shouted out from me, "Bring me home!" And so I did, and put it in my suitcase and brought it home. And it's amazing how often this beautiful rock just tells me to slow down. You want to hear me? Slow down. You want to hear me? Slow down. And when I do, it transports me straight to this high place. Anyway, I thought I'd share it. It wanted to be shouted out, so here it is. And this song I'm going to sing is called Embrace It. And it's a song by a beautiful woman artist called Kathy Zavada. But these songs are shouted for me tonight to be played. And so they're all kind of poignant, except for the last one, and a little introspective. So let's introspect. Embrace it, all that seems dark, embrace it. All that seems unlovable, embrace it and be whole again. Be whole again. Be whole again. Oh, traveler, let nothing go by. Let nothing be denied. Let the child inside cry. Darkness is known by the light. Embrace it, all that seems dark, embrace it. All that seems unlovable, embrace it and be whole again. Be whole again. Be whole again. Oh, adventurer, nothing can be left out. Faith is the brother of doubt. How about loving the fearful into wholeness, holy oneness? Embrace it, all that seems dark, embrace it. All that seems unlovable, embrace it and be whole again. Be whole again. Be whole again. Oh, traveler, child inside cry, because darkness is known by the light. Embrace it, all that seems dark, embrace it. All that seems unlovable, embrace it and be whole again. Be whole again. Be whole again. How about loving the fearful into wholeness, holy oneness.
Let's all embrace it. Absolutely. God bless you, Omashar. Let's twinkle him and let's embrace Omashar.
Yes, embrace Homashara and let's embrace Kathy Zavada, the author of that song. It just touches me so deeply, and I want to honor her. And she has opened up a Unity Church up in Ashland about a year and a half ago, and it's thriving now. I think they have about 160 members, 2 or 3 times a week. Brilliant,
That's fantastic.
isn't it?
Oh, well, you've got to come out to the West Coast. We've got to get you to Ashland to visit your friends and see the Twin Ray. And
Yes, yes, I'd love to. Yes,
I
yes.
think, I
Thank you,
think
brother.
Ashland is in your cards, my friend. In 2025, which is almost here.
I know.
All right, and we will have one final Omashar song to conclude the evening. And thank you, everybody, for moving and grooving and dancing. Connie and Jerry and Reverend Jeffrey and Eleanor Joy and all of our friends, Lynn and Leaf. Really beautiful to watch all of you moving and grooving and dancing. All right, we still have another author, and this is my friend Larry Michael. And Larry is an amazing guy. He does a lot. He is also known as the Love Shepherd. He's the founder of the Institute of Genetic Energetics. He is a master of relationship restoration. He's a speaker, he's a producer, he's an author, and he's the steward for a revolutionary science that delivers an understanding of the impact and expanse of our energetic relationships. He helps people break free of the story and to experience all the benefits of what he's calling courageous intimacy, the gift of lasting relationships. And he's sharing his new book, which is called Lasting. So wonderful to have you with you, Larry. Welcome to the Awakening World.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's great to be here with you. I was reflecting on how long ago we met. It's like centuries ago, but definitely decades ago.
Yeah, we've been
Way back in Love Coach Academy days. And it was, I, over the years of every few years have kind of found a new mentor, a new teacher. And I remember at the time, Scott, you definitely were that person at that time as your teachings being someone that I really wanted to listen to and learn from. And so, it's there's lots of good juju that goes back many decades.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. Tell us, give our audience a little bit of an introduction to, I mean, of course, we could do an entire show with you, but give us a homeopathic dose of your medicine.
Wow. So it's a little bit two-pronged. My Dharma path, if you will, is genetic energetics, which turns out to be one of perhaps the oldest known methodology that humankind has used to select and determine how to interact and even who they want to interact with. And it's a science that got put to words and actually got even scientifically studied almost 40 years ago. And I had the good fortune to run into it almost 18 years ago and it was as something that was designed as a matchmaking tool. But after working with couples, a lot of couples, I realized it was really much bigger than that. And so that became the foundation for most of the work that I've been doing for many, many years. And, you know, in addition to other tools like Love Coach Academy provided many tools, NLP provided many tools, hypnotherapy provided many tools, and there are many esoteric teachings that have been very valuable over the years. And there was a really interesting series of events that I had not even really considered as being as important and influential as they were until about 6 months ago when a friend of mine called me up and he was extremely upset, if you will. He had heightened ideas and he had just left a relationship and went, "Oh my God, Larry, I must be the stupidest man on the planet. How could I have gotten into this relationship? What did I do wrong?" And it's the second one, and I never want to do this again. And so I've been out looking for someone who could provide a series of questions that I could ask so this never happens to me. I went, wow, that's ambitious. And he did. In fact, he used AI to come up with, 300 or 400 questions. And he said, we have to write a book because I've looked at all these books and they're just questions and they're kind of okay. And I just knew I needed to find someone to do this. And will you do it? and I was, Scott, literally in the midst of writing 2 other books.
Wow.
One that I've been working on for a number of years and has really advanced to a point where I was extremely excited about it. And I was also on my way down to Ecuador to produce and direct a film on astrogeomancy, of all things. And I just said to him, I went, you know, it's a good idea, but let me think about it. And I went off, and what I realized, you know how it's almost like when you walk into a shop and you see a stone, you see a crystal and you go, wow, that's really cool. And you pick it up and you go, no, I don't want to buy another thing. And you set it down. And then you realize, you know, as you walk 2 blocks away that you really are kind of walking backwards because you can't leave it, right? And so all the time I was doing this event in Ecuador, I'm thinking, oh, I think I'm supposed to do this. I think I'm supposed to do this. And on the way home, I knew I was supposed to do this. And I called him back up and said, okay, I'm in, but we have to take a very different approach. And he goes, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, what I realized is 18 years ago, we created this thing called the Relationship Success Scale to be able to evaluate the efficacy scientifically of genetic energetics. And so I have a set of questions. And then 10 years ago, the most wonderful thing happened to me. I had a couple come to me, Scott, who had gone through, both of them had gone through divorce. And they came to me and they went, we have really messed this up. Like we screwed it up before. And we so treasure each other. We want to do this right. What questions can we ask to get to know each other so that we enter into this relationship with our eyes wide open? And I went, wow, this is amazing, because most of the people that were coming to us, and Scott, you know this from your own training, they come to us because there's something broken, there's some challenge, there's some trauma that's come up, there's a catastrophe, and they're looking for our help.
Yeah.
Right? Help
Yeah.
me fix this relationship in one way or another, or repair it, or find the solutions. And I went, well, this is so good. The idea of being prepared for a quality relationship instead of having to repair it, it was tantalizing. So I went looking for questions, and I couldn't find any good ones anyplace. I found a couple books, they were okay. And then I just happenstance to run into a rabbi one day, and I'm talking to him about it. And during the high holidays, and he goes, oh, we have lots of questions like that. And I went, oh, this makes sense. Who would have these questions?
Yeah.
Churches, religious groups, anybody that wants to keep the flock together. They don't want their relationships to fail. They want them to succeed so that they can carry on. And so I found a bunch of questions there and I put them together and I started working with this couple who actually just emailed me 3 days ago and sent me this beautiful message about how thankful they were for my help. And you know, I'm pleased with that, but they really did the work. I mean, they did the work. I simply shepherded it. So back to this book, I said to my friend, you know, we can do this, but there are some really essential things that we need to cover first before we just give people questions. And it's kind of like, oh, I'm trying to think of a great analogy, but I would just say this is that many of us get very excited and very passionate and dive into relationships thinking, oh my God, this is like the best person I've ever met in my life. And we step in with such enthusiasm that we think we'll just figure things out as we go along. And then we have the rest of kind of the therapy and coaching world that tells us that relationships go through these different phases, one of them which is the chemistry phase, and the next one is kind of what we call, I hope I can say this, the oh shit phase, where everything is collapsing and everybody's challenged. And then you get through that, and then there's another phase, and there's all these phases of relationships. And I have never, ever bought into that. What I've bought into is that we've been able to look at what's been happening in our world, and certainly that phase type thing is definable based on what's been happening. But is that really what us as really evolved and conscious human beings choose to do, or is that what we've been conditioned to do?
Wow.
And I think it's all conditioning. And so I said, let's start at the beginning with this, and let's come up with what are the key essentials, and we call them illuminations, that we need to look at before we even start asking questions. And so this book is written in 2 pieces, and the first are 2 volumes, and the first volume is called Illuminations, and there's 11 of them.
You know, if you don't mind, I'm going to actually pull it up because you sent me a copy of the book. So
Yes, thank
as
you.
you're describing, I want to very slowly, you can kind of read it. Here are the 11 illuminations. So that way people can see it while you speak it.
Okay. So the illuminations this is really the foundation for us as human beings of where we are our healthiest in our ability to connect. And it starts with inquiry. And coming back to the core of who we are. All of us were born seekers. We're all born seekers, curious. We came out of the womb, and the first thing we're seeking is what? Sustenance, right? Feed me. I need to survive. Keep me warm and feed me. And at that point in time in our life, we are so curious and we're just looking and testing and checking out everything. This is called the beginner's mind, the child's mind that we hear people talk about all the time, or maybe not often enough, but it is the critical baseline. But what has happened to us? What has happened to us as communities, as tribes, globally, is we've been conditioned to conclude and judge. And that process has gotten in the way of our ability to really see and experience each other. In other words, we've been looking for proof. We've been taught to look for proof. We want something. I want a relationship and I'm looking for this kind of relationship. So you go out on a date and you're making sure that person fits that list. Or you're in a relationship and you want something to go a certain way. And when you ask questions, you're asking questions to get the answer to what you want. And that's not true curiosity. True curiosity doesn't look for proof. True curiosity lets itself be surprised by the truth. So think about this. We're not looking for truth. If we allow ourselves to be surprised by the truth, now we open up this wide expanse of possibility that's not just grounded in this 3D world, but surrounds us universally. And the opportunity there when we do that is to see people fully, to ask questions with a desire to want to know, to go deep, to not stop at the first response, but ask why. Why is that important? And when someone turns around and says why, you go, no, you go to the next why and the next why. And you keep going deeper until you get the core of what it is that is the juice behind someone's behaviors. Now imagine if we asked questions about each other with that kind of mind,
Yeah.
what we learn. And that's just the first illumination in this book.
Oh my gosh.
It's just the first. Love, we could talk for hours about that, but I will just say very simply that my contention, my strongest belief is that love is our life force. That's what it is. Every breath we take is proof that love exists. We don't have to look for it. We're never without it. We have lots of things that mask it. We have lots of concerns and issues that come up that have us feel maybe not as loved or as loving. But in reality, in every breath, I invite everybody to just take a deep breath, and that's your life force. That's you. You got up this morning, did the most unconditionally loving thing you could do. You chose another day. So in this book, on the second chapter, we remove the word love from being spoken. We take it out of our vocabulary long enough to really speak to those things that we desire with more clarity. Think of the love languages. The love languages are not about love. Love languages are circumstances and behaviors that are really important to us. It's such a valuable list of information. But all we need to do is talk about, I want to be touched. I want kindness, giving gifts, all these different things that are defined by the love languages are what it's really about. So when we do that, we don't just summarize it under the word love, because when we do that, if we summarize love, we find that it's either a very, very powerful word that brings so much joy, or it turns out to be the most damaging word in the human language. So more destruction, more death has come from that word than any other word, if you can imagine that. From the Trojan horse to you name it. Simply because when we feel like we're not loved because we've attached it to behaviors, at that moment, we either depreciate ourselves or others. So what if we could stop that and simply use in better descriptions what we want to experience? Kindness to me means what? Touch means what? What does that look like? And when I am touched, I feel connected, I feel significant, and a variety of descriptions that now allow us to go so deep into an understanding of the connection that we make. So at that point in the book, we take it out. And by the way, we can always have it back. I'm not telling people you can't have it. I'm considered the love shepherd, right? That's my AKA. So it's kind of an interesting word to remove at the time. But I know one thing for sure. At the moment that we feel truly loved, at that one moment when we say to someone, oh my God, I love you, what we really have experienced is someone that reflects back to us the human being that we know is so true. We feel at home, we feel seen. And so we express it in, I love you. What we're really saying is, thank you, I love me. Right? And so just that expression gets pointed out there. And the clarity, the next chapter, is about labeling. Imagine if we took labels out of our vocabulary, if we didn't label anything, right? All the different labels we put on person, and every time we put a label on someone, it's like we're ushering them into a closet and going and put the label on the outside of the door. We're putting them in the closet and say, that's you. And we're inside the closet, go, wait. wait, no, there's more of me than that. Please, can I open the door? No, that's your label. So, if we remove labels, oh my goodness, again, how much understanding and clarity do we get? One of the most popular labels today is calling people narcissists.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
The moment somebody breaks up with someone, you go from being their beloved to, oh, he's a narcissist.
He's a narcissist,
He's a
right?
narcissist.
And
Right.
and look at, there are clinical narcissists, and on the other end, every human being has a narcissistic moment.
Yes.
We do. But if we remove that label, then we get to describe the experience we're having with the person instead of putting a label on them. And again, in questioning, I want someone who does these things versus putting a label and saying, I want someone who, it's like, I'll just use this because it's coming up. Around my work, there's a lot of women I work with, and they'll say, I don't want another cheater. A cheater, right? It's
Yeah.
like, first of all, we have to be careful what we ask for. But, what do they really mean? They're saying they want someone, if they put it in the positive, they want someone who's authentic, who's real, who communicates well, who is willing to be vulnerable, a whole variety of descriptions that help us show up fully versus you're a cheater or you're not.
I love you bringing this up. And as you know, my primary mentor was Marshall Rosenberg. And one of the great teachings from Marshall was that if you want to create peace in the world, we start with ourselves. And the first thing we do is we stop labeling people. Never labeling again, which means there are no assholes in the world. There are no idiots. There are no bitches. We remove all those labels, because when we use a label like that, we're putting them into prison and we're dehumanizing them. We're doing the same thing that, when a country goes to war, they dehumanize the enemy. And we don't want to create enemy images of people, and we do that by labeling. So I
Yeah.
love that you're bringing that up. Thank you.
It's so important. And Marshall was definitely a leader in that, that push for sure.
Yeah.
So labels, and then we go through attractions, that's chemistry, non-judgment, it almost speaks for itself, authentic relating, differences, being able to embrace our differences. Oh my God, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Communication is considered one of the most important aspects of any relationship. And we go deep into it, and it gives me an opportunity to bring up genetic energetics and put that on the table, at least the communication styles, which is a small portion of it. It's like I'm writing this book, Scott, and I'm thinking, the thing that is my Dharma path, my most important work, I'm not writing anything about it. And here I am getting people, hoping that I can show people a way for them to communicate and discover each other. And I have to do this. So not only did I bring genetic energetics in, but I also brought my favorite tools for helping people communicate effectively. And there are so many of them, but I specifically looked at tools that took a proactive process.
Mhm.
Instead of the, there's how to deal with conflict. There's lots of amazing tools out there. But I was looking at who are the people that are giving us information that allows us to step in front of another person with open arms and be in discovery,
Mm.
right? And so that's where communication is. Courageous intimacy, to me, this is what it's all about, right? And it's not just, it's intimacy at the nth level. It's that place where you're vulnerable, you're authentic, you're radically honest. And on top of it, you're courageous.
Mm.
And the courageous piece is the most exciting piece. It's like that moment when you go, oh God, I can't bring this up. If I bring this up, it's going to be, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And you're like scared to death. And then you go for it. You just go for it. And it never fails. It results in usually the most amazing connection with your partner, because they get to say, I knew you had something you were holding out on. I have been waiting for a long time, or a day, or years. It doesn't matter. But
I just had that experience with a couple that I was coaching, and she's known for years that he had an affair that he always denied and he gaslighted, and he was so afraid to share it. And we were able to create a safe enough space where after 5 years, he finally shared it. And he was so afraid to share the truth. And of course, the response is, I mean, there was that part of her that was angry that he had hit it and gaslit her. But the overall experience was she felt so much closer because now the truth was, revealed.
oh, I was talking to a friend earlier today, and she was asking me, you seem like something's bothering you. And I went, yeah, I've gotten to the point where I would rather hear the most challenging things than sense there's something unsaid,
Mhm.
right? Because as soon as I sense there's something unsaid, it is like there's a division that's been placed between us. And I don't have the full expanse and possibility of our relationship. So courageous intimacy to me is the pinnacle of an ongoing relationship with people. And then the next one is this is exciting to me because it's fairly new. It's co-creation, and we've heard the term co-creation. It's been used for years and years and years. And most people refer to co-creation as like, Scott, you and I could decide, let's create a program. You do this part and I'll do this part. And then we come together and we deliver it. And you deliver your part beautifully. I deliver my part beautifully. And we go, look what we co-created. And the reality is we co-created nothing. We collaborated.
Mm.
We brought our talents to the table and we brought them together and created something magnificent. So I don't want to degrade that at all. It's very important. But co-creation, I believe, is the one element that if it falters, if it's no longer found in a relationship, the relationship will never last.
Mm.
It causes it to dissipate. And here's what it is. It's so simple. We've all done it. We could even be doing it tonight, but here it is. There's 5 ingredients to co-creation. It starts with inquiry. Excuse me, no, let me back up. The first is it's 2 people, 2 or more people simultaneously creating or simultaneously doing something together. And it's not like I'm going to go do this and you're going to do that. They are together connected doing the work, right? That's the first part. So 2 people or more. It could be a whole family if you wanted. The next part is inquiry. They're truly just in an inquiry mode. They're ready for the surprise in every moment of what they're doing. The third part is serendipity. As a result of that, something serendipitous happens. And if serendipity isn't part of the game, it's not co-creation.
Huh.
At that moment you have a serendipitous experience, there's joy and celebration. That's the 4th part. And the 5th part is surrender, letting it go for there's room for another. So I'll give you an example of what this looks like because it's really fun and probably most of us have done this at one point or another. Let's say you were with your beloved, you go out to dinner one night, you have a fabulous dinner and it was huge and you brought all these leftovers home. Okay. Saturday night, you put all the stuff in the refrigerator, you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, and your typical morning Sunday is let's find a new restaurant to go to. And you roll over and you look at your beloved and you go, we've got fresh vegetables, we've got all these leftovers, let's go make something. And there's this smile of joy and go, okay, sounds like fun. So now we have 2 people and there's this creative idea. And they go down into the kitchen and they start scavenging, right? One goes into the pantry, comes back with fresh fruit. Another one brings out some things from the refrigerator, the leftovers. The other one goes, pancakes would be good with this too. Let's do pancakes. And before you know it, they have, without planning a meal at all, or a specific meal, have come up with a meal. They put it on the table. They go, you know what? Champagne would probably be good too. They pour a glass of champagne. They sit down. They say a little prayer, and before they take a bite, they go, wait, take a picture. Take a picture. This is amazing, right? They take a picture of it, and what they have is this incredible breakfast that they could not have bought anywhere, right? Never would be as good. And they're sitting down enjoying it with each other. So we have all of those ingredients. And the serendipity piece is so important because that's the surprise. That's the joyful surprise that you had no idea was going to happen. And it happens.
Beautiful.
Now, in partnerships, if those co-creative moments become sparse or non-existent, inside it begins to dwindle. And what happens is it's like there's something missing, but we can't put our finger on it because we don't know what it is. And then one day we meet some friends for dinner and there's someone new that we start talking to, and there becomes this, just in the conversation and the ideas, co-creation happens. And there's this spark and go, oh my God, I've been missing this. This is what I've been missing. And they don't really call it co-creation, but I'm missing this joy, this level of bliss, this gratitude for this experience. And they look at their relationship and they go, it must have fizzled out.
Yeah.
It's gone. It's not gone. Just the co-creation is. And I will say that it doesn't matter whether it's with your beloved or your family or in business. If an opportunity to co-create becomes non-existent, you will distance yourself and leave all of them.
We need to wrap up. So there's one last one. If you can briefly tell us what environments is.
The environments are really just what it says. It's finding a whole space, finding a great space for the conversation. The second part of the book is all our questions. And the questions have a characteristic that's really important. There's a there's a you, a me, and a we. So for every question, there's 3 answers. There's mine, there's yours, and an answer for us, right? And there's an invitation to go deep. And so with these illuminations and with the questions, there are 200 of them that we curated very, very carefully. By the time you're done, one of 2 things happens. Either you know for certain this is a person that you want to dive in fully, you're already committed, but now more so than ever. Or you know for certain that this is a person that you love dearly, but there's no way we're doing a relationship with each other. And you get to celebrate that, right? And that's lasting. So lasting right now is it's in its pre-order stage. And I think we have a link for people. And I would absolutely be so touched for anybody that's interested in this book to pre-order and support us. There's some really fun bonuses that are available there too. And
can you put, I'm looking at the email you sent me and it actually doesn't have the link in there. So if you could put the link into the chat box for us, I would appreciate that. And then I'll click it and come back to you. So if you could do that, that would be great. And thank you for giving us so much information. There's a lot of comments, by the way. I'm going to read just a few real quickly. You've got a lot of people really enjoying this. Susan Bloomquist, by the way, points out we're co-creating right here, I think. Eleanor Joyce says courageous intimacy. That's a good one. And Ellie really is enjoying what you said. She has many comments about, she says, I appreciate Larry's gentleness and genuine way of being and expressing. Absolutely. So take a look at the comments that have come in while you've been chatting, Larry. Please put your link into the chat box.
So I put 2 links there, one for the book, and the other is a free gift. The other, that's not the right one though. That's you. That's
me. That's me.
That's the one. I'll put the other one in there. The other one, I'll have to get that for you, is a free gift to the Personal Energetic Profile, which is what Genetic Energetics does. And I want everyone to have a chance to get that. So I'm going to give a link to that as well. And I'll have that for you in a second.
And for those of you watching on Facebook, which is the majority of our audience, to learn more, go to Publish Eisern. I'm going to spell that. It's the word publish and then IZER.com/life lasting. And there's a fun little video right there you can watch, learn a little bit more about Larry, and it talks about the book, and you can pre-order it. So that's in our Zoom room, but for everybody watching on Facebook, kind of write it down. This is how you can pre-order Larry's book.
And I just put the other link in for anybody who wants to run a profile. So
fantastic.
thank you all so much. And Scott, it's so fun to connect with you. I mean, I have so
Larry,
many fond memories. And I'll tell you that there's no question in my mind that when these illuminations were being resurfaced and put together, that the training that you provided had an influence.
thank you. That makes me feel happy to hear that. Thank you. Thank you, Larry. All right, I'm going to move on to a couple of other things, and we're going to go into a fun video to introduce something special.
I look forward to you joining me at the Expand Conference, where we're all going to expand our consciousness by being among kindred spirits and learning from some great authors how to connect with higher consciousness and learn all about spiritual topics that are near and dear to our soul.
I am so excited to see you at the Expand Conference. We are going to have so much fun. You're going to be hanging out with like-minded people. And whenever you hang out with a group of people that you have a lot in common with, your gifts grow and expand. I so look forward to seeing you there.
I and my colleagues will be joined in a panel talking about our books, and also each of us will offer a presentation and an exercise to partake.
I will be sharing all about the Akashic Records and how it can help you make new choices, release old patterns, and truly transform your life.
I'll be sharing how the mystical world of nature can open up profound experiences for you. It's going to be an incredible gathering, and I'm looking forward to connecting with like-hearted souls who are ready to expand their unity consciousness.
I'm so delighted to be inviting you to the Expand Conference held in San Rafael, February 1st, 2025. I'm going to be there and do opening and closing ceremonies representing the goddess, so please join us.
So I know a lot of our Bay Area friends are and Northern California friends. Let's all meet up in San Rafael at the Expand Conference. It's going to be at the same place where the New Living Expo happens, and really a lot of the main things in Marin County happen. Eden Amadora is also going to be there. She's not part of Ariel's book series, but she's going to be in one of the panels. And so everybody, let's all plan on meeting in San Rafael. And Ariel, what else would you like for our audience to know about that?
Well, I appreciate the invitation to everyone. And, you know, the reason that I mentioned even how long I've known Lisa or Anna Maria, and I've never met Anna Maria in person yet, is because we seem to do so much in this virtual world, which is amazing. And we reach people all over the world, but there's nothing like being in person, you know, up close and personal. So in San Rafael, it'll be the first time that Anna Maria and I will be in the same physical space. And Anna Maria's already told me she's giving everybody huge heart hugs, and it'll be the second time for me and Lisa, and I think the second time for me and you, Scott. So, you know, it's about community, or, you know, to talk about relationships like Larry was talking about. I think it's so important. And so the Common Sentience book series is a couple years old. But we feel like now it's time to really bring the community together and have people together, not only listening to the speakers, meeting the authors, doing experiential practices. Everyone will be leading people through practices, getting your big heart hugs, and engaging in conversations and relationships with each other around our spiritual journey. And so we're really excited. It's the first one that we're doing. We're doing one later in June in Atlanta. And then from there, we'll, you know, see where we're going. So yes, please, everyone come, go to the website, sacredstories.com, and there's all the information about the experience. And Scott, you're going to be there as well. You're going to,
Absolutely.
you're my guest. And Eden Amadora, as you mentioned, we're also having a story panel, and I'll be moderating that. So there'll be 5 people who have contributed a story somewhere in the 16 books, and they're gonna be having a panel with the audience. So to again show that this is all of our birthrights and not just the people that wrote the book. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching on Facebook or YouTube, if you go to sacredstories.com/expand-San Rafael, or if you probably click conferences, if you click conferences, it's right there for you. And it's going to be really fun meeting these authors and all being together. And you're right, we're so used to being online, but it's really, really wonderful. I'm right now in the middle of a road trip, actually. I was teaching in LA and on Sunday for a live audience, taught last night in Encinitas. And it's so nice to hug people, people that I've seen online for years, and they all go, Scott, you're so much bigger than I thought you would be.
You're very tall. You're very,
I-
very
I
tall.
happen to
That
be
is
tall, but
true.
most people are
Yeah.
used to me being about this big, because that's the size of how I show up on Zoom. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and
It's gonna
I
be
would
wonderful.
love to add, if I can, that
Yes.
there is a day 2. So there's all the panels where all 6 of us are speaking on February 1st. And then on February 2nd, I am teaching a full 8-hour day and teaching you how to access your own personal Akashic records. So it is my signature course. I teach you my 5-step wisdom prayer system, and it'll be right there live in person at the Embassy Suites. And there's a few other people who are speaking and teaching. And so when you go to that page to sign up for the full day event, you will also see the other courses that are also available, like my Akashic Record workshop and others. Are you teaching, Ana Maria?
I am. Dr. Stephen Farmer and I, the author of Spirit Animals, we're collaborating together. And there's something about being in the physical together, right? I'm grateful for the technology for us to connect wherever we are. But when we get to be in each other's auric fields, right? Our energy fields, something magical happens. And so Dr. Farmer and I are collaborating to do a shamanic healing circle. And it's going to be a half-day program on Sunday. And it is to receive healing, but it's also for all of us to step into our healer selves. We so often are like, oh, that person over there or that group over there is a healer. And we forget we're wired for this stuff, right? Just like talking to trees and talking to rocks and talking to animals and telepathically communicating with each other. We are wired for this and we just forgot. And it's time that we remember, because it changes the game dramatically. So I'm grateful that we have an opportunity to play together in the energy in person.
Beautiful. Well, since you mentioned that, I did find it on your website. So if you scroll down, you can see the conference schedule. And we just heard about what Lisa's presenting, a full Learn to Access Your Personal Akashic Records. We just heard about Stephen Farmer and Ana Maria. And also Suzanne Geisman, who I know is very popular. She's doing an all day on Sunday, making the connection to loved ones in spirit. So, wow, those are that's hard to choose which of those 3 to do, huh? Wow.
Yeah. No, we've had multiple people email us and say, I don't want to choose. I want to do them all. And, unfortunately, life is about choices sometimes. But, the word of the year and the word of 2025 is expand. It's about expanding our consciousness, expanding our awareness, expanding our ability to connect with our divine essence, expanding our ability to dive deep into the unitive consciousness that we're all swimming in, right? Connect more deeply with ourselves, with each other, with the universe. And that's why we have kind of the part 2 on Sunday, because the idea is you get everything on Saturday. You get all of the wisdom, you get experience, author will lead you through an experiential practice, which is very important. You get the storytelling with the story panel. And then if you want to expand your learning or your experience even more, then you could, take an additional workshop on Sunday where they go really deep into it. So, and I just want to mention that on Saturday, I'm very excited because Anna Maria is bringing her Music of the Plants device, which is, a Dhamma device. And so it's very special. I had the opportunity to listen to the Music of the Plants in Damanhur, Italy. And I've heard it online before, which is great. But there's something about, again, being in person and not only with people, but with the plants. We have to make sure we have a plant there, Anna Maria. I have to put that on my list. But to listen to the music of the plants in person is just really spectacular.
Well,
So
and it goes beyond listening to their music, which is profound and brings me to tears every time that I see it, which I know it's a truth point. But the plant will be leading us on a journey. And there we are in this huge room with all of these like-hearted souls. Like, I can't wait to see where we go. I'm so stoked. I just can't even wait. I'm so excited.
yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be deep. It'll be profound. We'll be doing, lots of deep journeys and work, but we're also going to have a lot of fun. So I do hope many of your listeners and our friends can join us. So
Absolutely. Well, I'll be there, and I'm going to bring Larry back up. We've kind of run out of time, so we don't have time for questions, actually. But each of you provided such a wonderful homeopathic dose of your wisdom, your medicine. I do want to show quickly what Larry had brought up. This is his 4answers.com. If you go to 4answers.com, that's where you can get these questions that he's offering. So that's kind of fun. Just put in your email and it'll
If you go to the bottom and hit create new account,
that
creates a private account for you. And then when you log back in, you can run a personal energetic profile.
I'm going to do that as soon as we hang up. I'm curious to see what happens. Thank you all of you. Thank you for, beyond being on the show tonight, thank you for your dedication. It takes a lot to write a book. It takes a lot of dedication, devotion. We don't exactly get rich writing books, but we, all of you, have created ways for people to transform, to raise their consciousness. And since this is all part of an awakening world, I want to thank each of you for your contributions to our awakening world. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
And we're going to close the show the way that we always do, which is with the inspiration of an Om Shara song.
Yes, indeed. And what a beautiful show. I feel so connected to everybody on the show tonight. And Larry, I really loved your clarity and your new perspective on things that I thought I had a handle on, and with relationship, and just the removal of the word love, and then exploring everything that you share with us is grist for my mill. So thank you, brother. And it's interesting that the closing song that I've chosen for tonight is actually called Feel the Love. And so let's do that. Got a new feeling here in my heart. It's been a long time coming. It tore me apart. I looked into your eyes. You love me a lot. You were the one who helped me change my thought. And now I'm singing. Feel Feel the love. Feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love and let it turn you around. Turn you around. We're singing. Feel the love. Feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love and let it turn you around. Turn you around. You looked into my eyes. You spoke only truth. I found I couldn't live with myself until I opened to you. Open to you. So now I'm doing the right thing. It's the only way I know. And I'm not ashamed of myself. I'm just going with the flow. Going with the flow and singing. Feel the love. Feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love and let it turn you around. Turn you around. We're singing. Feel the love. Feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love and let it turn you around. Turn you around. Now about this new feeling here in my heart, I won't let it leave me. I won't let us part. I've been waiting a long time for you to enter my life, and now I'm with you forever. I'm with you forever, singing this. Feel the love. Feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love and let it turn you around. Turn you around. We're singing. Feel the love. Feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love and let it turn you around. Turn you around. We're singing. Feel the love. Feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love and let it turn you around. Turn you around. We're singing. Feel the love. Feel the love come tumbling down. Feel the love and let it turn you around. Turn you around and let it turn you around. Turn you around and let it turn you around. Turn you around and we can be happy.
Wow! I know what we're all going to have on our heads for the rest of the night is that song.
We're gonna
That's
be feeling the
awesome.
that's a the soup, the breakfast that Larry created for us. That is it in a song. So that delicious short form, Larry. Appreciated that very much.
Oh, that was great. That was absolutely great. I'm going to bring up our guests one last time. There's Larry. Thank you so much, Ariel. I love co-hosting with you. Let's do this again. And my audience certainly enjoyed it. I'm getting great comments, which you're probably seeing in the chat box. And I also want to let people know what we've got coming up. This Saturday night, Connecting with Special Souls. It's going to be conversations with some of our favorite people. Larissa Stowe, I'm going to actually be at Larissa's new 12-acre retreat site in Sedona. So she'll be sitting right by me. And we are planning a retreat in the spring, in late March probably. Hopefully that's not going to be when Omashar is going to some other country, because we can only do a retreat when Omashar is available. Mystical Joyride is going to be back playing music and also sharing about themselves. Our good friend Diara and Sylvie Rocab from Love Thy Nature. So that's going to be Saturday night. So thank you. Oh, and one last thing I want to let people know. This is the time to register for the new season. For anybody watching on Facebook or YouTube, come join us. Come join the tribe. Go to globalpeacetribe.com, learn all about us, and then just click register for the new season, and that'll take you to our registration page. And you'll get the Zoom room links for all of our shows for the next 4 months, all the way through the end of March.
Which is an eternity. And George Noble just reminded us that this Friday is Cornflowers concert. And so it's in cornflower.com. You can go and register.
Cornflower Music.
Cornflowermusic.com. And his, you can pay, but it's also a free offering from him where you can donate. So either way, get in there and be with us and get down with Cornflower.
And I will be there, actually. So yes, come join us. That's at 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern. Let's all dance and rock to Cornflower Music. We're going to be rocking in our heads to that song you just played for us, Bashar. And thank you.
Don't forget it. Feel the love.
Well, I'm feeling the love of these wonderful authors, feeling the love of our wonderful Global Peace Tribe. Jeffrey and Sonia are still dancing. Have a great evening, everybody. Have a great couple of days. Looking forward to seeing you on Friday night with Cornflower and Saturday night on The Awakening World. Good night, everybody.